My next guest was raised in Iowa, youngest in a family of 9 kids. Received her bachelor's in communications from University of Iowa. Worked as an anchor, reporter, and weather forecaster in New York, Arizona, and Illinois before joining Fox 10 in Phoenix, Arizona, where she and her partner, John Hook, had the longest-running news team in the United States and in Arizona. And it ranked number 1 for almost 20 years. That is almost impossible as competitive as local news is. This is a big, big deal. And she resigned this week, walking away, top of her game, told her viewers via the message we just now played she no longer wants to work in news, saying she can, quote, no longer do it in its current form. Please welcome to the program, Kari Lake. Kari, how are you?
Wow.
And Kari, first of all, let me just tell you how honored I am. I know you've not done any interviews since you resigned. This is your first interview, and I'm very, very flattered, and thank you so much for that.
Well, I adore you, Larry. I've listened to your show for years, and I know you're fair, and I'm just happy to be here. So thanks for having me.
Kari, what did it? Was there an incident? Was it a long-standing kind of thing? Talk to us about how you made your decision, why you made the decision.
Well, I have to tell you before I tell you that, I can't believe this has made news to the level it has. My intention of putting the video out was that I wanted to just let the viewers know, hey, I'm not coming back. I promised you I would update you on my status, and I appreciate everything you've done by tuning into me all these years, but I'm not coming back, and here's why. I'm astounded that I'm talking to you and that people are talking about this around the country. I don't quite understand that.
Kari, I'm astounded. I'm astounded. You're astounded. You're the man out there. Pardon the expression. You're the man out there. I've met you before. Are you kidding? This is a big, big deal. That is a top market for you to walk away from that job, and the reasons that you gave for walking away. Kari, you're in news. That's called news.
Well, I didn't think it would be such big news. I did think it would garner some attention. I didn't realize I would be inundated with thousands of emails. I've gotten so many comments on social media. Larry, I've had dozens, maybe 100 journalists reach out to me saying privately, I am with you. You are speaking what I'm feeling. I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm trapped in this, and I don't know how to get out. I can't leave, or I don't know how to leave. So I knew I wasn't alone in my feelings. I didn't realize there were so many others who are in media feeling the same way.
Well, they are there, as you well know, Kari, and a lot of people would have just sucked it up and kept cashing the checks.
Well, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm not perfect. I did that for a while. But it gets to the point where you just can't make it feel right. You know what I'm saying? I'm reading things that I personally don't agree with. Now, there are other people who could read the same news copy, and they're fine with it. They agree. They think it's great. I was just starting to feel like it wasn't completely balanced. This media situation that we're in right now has changed so much that it didn't feel right to me. And I started to think, well, you know what, we call it the golden handcuffs. You start making a lot of money, you're doing well, you're kind of trapped in your success, but you keep doing it because you're making good money. And I've really become a lot closer to my faith in the past couple of years, and I realized that was just not right. It was actually immoral to do that. And as we were getting through the COVID situation, I started working from home, and the COVID stories were nonstop. And for me, I felt like I was scaring people. Maybe, and I know it's serious. I'm not denying that we have a virus or anything like that, but I felt that I was feeling scared by some of the stories we were doing, and maybe we were unnecessarily scaring or pushing fear, that I was pushing fear, and I didn't feel comfortable with that.
Kari,
so that really kind of pushed me over the edge.
I was going to say, Kari, that was sort of the feeling that I got from the White House, that the White House felt that this was an overreaction. And I'm wondering, to what degree did people perceive you to be sort of parroting the Trump line by expressing, whether you did it publicly or privately, whether or not we're going overboard on these stories?
Well, I don't know if you just heard me sigh. I realized I just sighed when you said that. I feel like Trump kind of worked into every single story, you know, and I wasn't trying to work President Trump into every story. But when it comes to COVID, there were doctors out there who were treating COVID patients who had suggestions on how to treat people. And for some reason, it was just unconscionable to even bring them up. That, you know, the cancel mob was working, and you couldn't even say, hey, listen to what these doctors are saying. They're treating patients, and this is successful. They're finding that this is successful. But the cancel mob's insistence that, you know, certain COVID stories couldn't be told, you couldn't even whisper them, but others needed to be told over and over again. I live in a neighborhood with a lot of elderly people, and they're the most wonderful neighbors. And I noticed they were afraid. They were telling me how nervous they were. And I just felt like I was contributing to that, and it did not make me feel good about what I was doing. And I finally just thought, you know, I can find something else to do. I can work in another way that I can make a living, and I will feel better about myself. I didn't think what I was saying was shocking. I felt like what I said about the media in general was pretty much common knowledge.
My guest is Kari Lake. She anchored the Fox 10 News in Phoenix, Arizona for about a dozen years, top-rated newscast. Kari, were you criticized for being on the wrong side of the hydroxychloroquine story?
Yeah, I took a lot of heat. I would post news stories when they came about and just say, hey, this is kind of interesting. You know, we're hearing that hydroxychloroquine, this is a study showing it works. And the local paper would write me up and, you know, attack me for doing that. But I think we're at a point, Larry, where people have been afraid to be a victim of the cancel culture. It is scary. I've been canceled several times. You know, when a newspaper writes a story that you post something and they call you a conspiracy theorist, and I'm just a journalist. I'm curious. We're facing a pandemic that's killing people, and I want to explore anything that might be working. I want to explore therapeutics. I want to explore doctors who are finding success, but for some reason that was not acceptable, and I would be written up in the paper. I called it written up. And I got to tell people, once you've been canceled once, it gets easier.
Well, Kari, like we're gonna take a quick break. Kari, please don't go away. We're gonna take a quick break. We come back. I want to ask you, what happens when the Fox 10 News ratings dive and they come back to you and they say, "Come back. We'll be flexible. You can be fair and balanced." Then what?